Hello, this is Malorian, and it's time to get serious because this is the intro to the Alberta GT tournament. So this is something where we're doing it for the first time this year. I'm one of the organizers in Edmonton. All the different tournament organizers got together and really said, how can we make a circuit that's going to build up to a province-wide grand tournament? And, we're finally here. I had a little bit of input into it, but for the most part, a lot of the other guys did a lot of the other work. I mean, the people that run the bigger tournaments. And, it's being run in Calgary, so the Calgary guys are actually running this one. But, there's one little small thing I had my part in here, but I'll say that when we get there. Anyway, it's going to be a 2-day tournament, 6 games. And I guess I'll say right now, that was my little pusher that, hey, let's go for 6 games. Because what it lets us do is actually run all of the normal, in the book missions. Now, first of all, I like 6 games because it's just that much bigger. There's quite a few 5-game tournaments here, but not 6 games. That's like that one extra step. And it really is nice just to say, you know what? You don't need to randomly have whatever of the main 6 missions or pick and choose and all this. It's no, we're going to run them all. So that's really nice to do. There is no real comp to it whatsoever. It is 2,400 points, has to be painted and all that stuff. You are scored on your sportsmanship and on your painting, but for the most part, going for best overall, is really just based off the generalship. I'm trying to see here where it is it's 65% based off your general score. So, usually sportsmanship, which is 25%, that's going to be pretty much even for everyone. Painting, there's some amazing painters around here, which I know will be above me, but it's only worth 10%. So that won't really change too much of the overall. Sorry, there is one small thing in comp, and all it is that you can't take the folding fortress. And, 3 things. This next thing is that you're just capped at 12 power dice. So if you're someone who's running, one of the lords, I cast my big spell, I put through a purple sun, I get tons of dice back. Well, sorry, you can only go up to, the 12 dice total per phase. So that's something that kind of stops that kind of a skew. The other thing here is where all the BSBs have the opportunity to take any sort of mundane equipment that the regular hero would. So this is stuff where for the old ones that can't take a shield, they can actually take a shield. That's really what it comes down to. For the most part, what I think about the comp, I don't think most of it's really needed. It's kind of nice to have it, if you have an old BSB to put that shield on there. It doesn't really change much. The 12 power dice thing is, it's really just the people that run that purple sun really affects. And the folding fortress, pretty much because you're running these things, that shouldn't be a big deal either. But, it's just a real normal thing where around here, except for by tournament, they like to ban the folding fortress. Getting past that, it is going to be, like I said, the 6 games, and each one is going to be one of the main missions. However, the person running the missions decided to make each one a little bit of a twist. So one of them you already saw in my game against Kieran Dunleavy, and that's really the change of the battle line. So this one here, you're going to be doing regular battle line, but there's got that fog of war. So at the start of every game turn, you roll the artillery dice, you times that by 3, and that's how far you can see to shoot, cast magic, charge, blah, 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 all that stuff. And then on a misfire, there is no fog that turn. So that one we already saw. There's a little bit of a bias because the person who is going first knows mathematically where they can set up and what the other person will be able to see. But apart from that, it's really going to hurt, long-range war machines and stuff like that. But there you kind of go. Scenario 2 is going to be Dawn Attack. And what this one does, it's a little bit different as well, is they change the chart. So on a 1, actually your opponent gets to choose which one of those zones it goes in. On a 2, it goes to the left. On a 3, it goes to the right. 4 or 5 is the center, and on a 6, you get to pick. And this is just a kind of a small change, but still it's pretty important because letting your opponent choose can really mess some things up. And this is where, in the past, we said you can have the things where your general's over here and the trolls are over here, and he just really screws it up. Well, that's really rare, but now that we've changed this, where people can actually pick where things go, that's going to happen a lot more, especially when it does happen with that key unit. They're just going to say, all right, that's way off there on the side. So we'll see how much this comes up, and talking to the different people. Next one here is Battle for the Pass, and what this one does is actually, okay, it's Battle for the Pass, but you have to decide at the beginning what rule you want to add. Either there's favorable wind, which is all Bliss's skill, has its range increased by D6 that you roll at the beginning of each shooting phase, or there's these boots are made for walking, which adds 1 to the movement stat up to a max of 10, and random movement gets a +1 as well. And if you guys don't agree which one you should use, you randomize. So this is, I mean, I'm going to be talking about all these things at the end. This is really what it is. Then there's Blood and Glory, but the Blood and Glory got changed as well. So first of all, there's this Heart of the Army one, where you roll randomly to determine which of your characters, excluding the general, gains this special rule. And what happens is, as long as they are alive, then you get +1 to all combat resolutions. So that's, you know, nice all over the place. However, if they ever die, you count as losing 2 of your standards towards the army breaking point. So that's devastating. So that's really going to be something where I don't know how they're going to work it when you only have one character. Let's say they're using the Lizardman book because it's going with the old one. If all they have is a Slan, I don't know what they're going to do in that case, but that's what it says here. And then it goes with Disheartening Blow, they call it, where the first one that hits the breaking point, instead of just losing, it gives 750 victory points to the opponent. So that's the thing where it's, you know, it can be very big, but at the same time, it's not like just the automatic loss. So if you're a person that has just like the big monster thing, you could like, okay, well, I'll lose the 750 and I'm not going to lose the game. I'll just, you know, probably be closer to a tie. Then we have the meeting engagement, and what they did here is they added something called bait and switch. And what happens here is that the player that deploys first may redeploy D3 units before the game begins. However, if you choose to do so, the player that deployed second steals the initiative on a 2+ rather than a 6. So really, if you really notice that the matchups are completely screwed up, then you can go and try and steal that first, or, well, redeploy that. But at the same time, you know, I don't think this will be coming up much, because let's say we have some really bad matchups. At best, on average, rather, you'll be getting 2 units, and it's even will be a question like, can I really switch them? So let's say if my trolls and my black orcs are in the wrong spot. Well, my trolls have a bigger footprint than my black orcs. So it's not just a simple thing always of just switching units around, right? So I don't think this one will be actually used very much. I think it'll just go across as regular meeting engagement for most people. But hey, the option is there. Then there is Watchtower, and this one they changed as well, so that what you do is that nobody starts in the tower. You can't go in there in turn 1 whatsoever. You can't be in there with a unit that's bigger than 25 models. And for every game turn that you're completely in there, you get an extra 150 victory points. So pretty minor in the long run. And again, I think people are just going to ignore that. So, like, I don't know, I'm going to be talking about this in the summary at the end. I mean, who knows, at this point, maybe I'm wrong, but there's some of these things where I really wish they just would have kept it as the regular type of missions. I think some of these changes will bias some of the armies. And, I mean, one of the things I should say going into this, because I haven't told you anything about my army yet, is that going into this, it's supposed to be in some of the larger tournaments, whoever won best overall, they get an automatic invite. Past that is the people that racked up the most points, went to, you know, the different tournaments, placed the highest, and so the top 20 people are going to this tournament. Now, the way it worked out is that, you know, some people will not be able to make it or whatever. They're actually not taking the top 20. This is coming from quite a bit. And actually, for the fantasy side, we've had some dropouts, so it's just going to be 18 people there. But still, you know, from that, there's going to be a very high caliber there. I'm sure for the people that are coming in from down below, you know, right away after the first couple of rounds, they'll be down near the bottom, and it'll be the top guys at the top anyway, like any other tournament. So that's not really that big of a deal. But the main thing is, when I was looking at this here, is that when I was first looking at this and trying to decide what I was going to do, I was in the real mindset that I want to devastate this tournament. I want to come in there. I'm going to beat everyone. This is especially coming out of Warhammered, where I was just completely in this very competitive mindset, and I just want to go into this and win, because the winner of this, of course, gets crowned, like, you know, the champion of Alberta, and you get this large trophy, this big cup, and so I just wanted that. I wanted to win it. And so when I was trying to think of what's be like the cheesiest army to take with these things here, because really when you look at it, even though, okay, War Machines, if you go with a big gun line, you're going to be kind of shut down with that first with the Fog of War. So you don't want to really be going with that. One of the things that really does go good across all this here is really the taking the Monster Mash. So I was really thinking about taking either Warriors of Chaos. I was going to take 2 big hordes of trolls, Throg, Demon Prince, whatever, right? And just Steamroller. Same thing that would have been possible too, is maybe going with the Monster Mash with my High Elves. However, when you drop down to this 2400, all of a sudden my whole Mage on Moondragon doesn't fit quite right anymore. So I was really looking at the Warriors of Chaos, trying to get more trolls. I mean, I could have gotten 2 hordes already, but I was wondering if I could get even more. Because really looking at this, I mean, the Watchtower doesn't matter. Blood and Glory, sure, I might give up some points, no big deal. But at the end of the day, because I think there'll be a lot of people here that are going to be really pushing the Purple Sun, and also the Vampire players going around and screaming, I don't think it's going to be actually working out the best for that. So after a while, trying to figure out what's the cheesiest army I could take, you know what? After everything was said and done, I kind of said to myself, you know what? We built up this for the whole year. Let's go with Orcs and Goblins. I am the Orcs and Goblins guy. I'm sure if I don't go there with Orcs and Goblins, they just won't be represented here for the Battle of Alberta. So I'm going to be taking them. And really, now getting to my list, it really is a very strong Orc and Goblin list, but at the same time, it's not very different from what I'm normally taking. So this is what I got. I have my level 4 Orc Great Shaman, who has a spell scroll. Nice and cheap. He's just going to be casting my magic and also being the general. Then I have my Night Goblin BSB, naked. I have my 40 Biggin Savages with extra Choppa and Banner, 20 Night Goblins with short bows, Musician, and 1 Fanatic. Then I have the 5 Wolf Riders with shields, 18 Trolls, 40 Black Orcs with Banner, Flaming Banner, Musician, 1 Wolf Chariot, 2 Stone Labas, and 2 Doom Divers. Now, like I said, going into that first game with the Fog, my War Machines are going to be pretty much useless. I mean, for the most part, you're not going to be seeing very far. So that game there, I'm really hoping I don't run into like the Demon Prince army or something like that, because they just won't really perform, right? I won't be able to shoot them down before they get to me, and it could be kind of bad. So it really, this first game could be kind of crazy, but actually this is where I'm liking that we're having this big mix for the very beginning, where it's not all just the top, it's a mix from everybody, and hey, I might get an easy draw and get past that first game. Either way, you know, depending on what I'm up against, I have enough muscle in here that I can really fight through it anyway, and you know, that's really the hope there. As far as the Watchtower goes, I'm not really planning to go for the Watchtower whatsoever. For the Blood and Glory, it's going to be automatically the BSB, who's always hiding in the back anyway, so that should be the safest thing to do. And for the most part, looking at it, this is really solid. I mean, one of the things you probably noticed is that this isn't a huge change from what my normal tournament list is. It's really just set up to fit into 2,400 points. And for some of this, like, my core is exactly 25%, right? I took the minimum core I could, really trying to squeeze it down, getting into the other spots I can. My special is up at like 49% type thing, right? So really, the spots where I might be really suffering here could be my leadership, because I was not able to fit in the leadership banner. I could have taken that instead of the flaming banner, but one of the armies I'm really worried about facing is other troll armies and other like big Nurgle armies. So I really wanted that flaming banner in there. I really don't think high elves will be that big of a deal with like their dragon princes and stuff. You know, I might face up against Kieran Dunleavy, and then I just want to make sure that I don't get that matchup, or if I do, I hold and go into like ranks for steadfast, counter with trolls, blah blah blah, right? So that's really the plan there. You know, I might have some failed stupidity over the tournament with the leadership 8 re-rolled, but normally I find, you know, that's fairly solid. I don't know what the percentage is, but that's fairly good. So what are my objectives going into this game? Well, as always, I'm trying to win more than I lose, but I really am going to be trying to push for, I mean, going into this is the serious tournament. Now, again, if you would have talked to me, say, like, right after Warhammer's like, yes, this is going to be no matter what it takes, I'm going to crush everyone. There's going to be no mercy. I'm just going to go for it all the time. Now, especially after this month-long tournament where, I've had some pretty crushing wins and just watching my opponents' faces fall, it'll be a little bit different where these guys I'm playing here at the Alberta GT are like the veterans and they'll be used to all these things. I'm not in it now. I mean, I'm not going to be like a total jerk all the time, so like going for little piddly things and stuff, but it is still going to be, it's on time, right? It's not going to be really any punches pulled, but at the same time, I'm not going to be doing like really sneaky things. People know from my previous videos is that I sometimes like to play like the whole psychology game and like have the multiple fanatics there when I don't have fanatics, or like try and pull these different tricks and stuff. I don't want to go that far. I just want to go in there. I should have a lot of good, like 6 good fun games, maybe even sneak in a 7th, a fun one after. But for the most part, I'm hoping not only to win more than I lose. Out of the 6 games, I would like to be winning 5, as my target. I'm sure I'm going to have one game where animosity or stupidity or the matchup, something is going to fall apart, but 5 wins is really what I'm shooting for. And then, hopefully I'll place in the top 3, but we're going to have to see, right? So there you have it. Please down below, post down whatever, your bets on how you think I'm going to do. Remember, it's out of 18, so you can either bet what place that is, or if you want to bet how many wins I'll have. And then the 6 games will be over this weekend here, and then starting, probably Monday or Tuesday, I'm going to start putting these battle reports out. So there you have it, and wish me luck. Bye.